My cruel mother-in-law, Victoria, had always been a storm in my life, but tonight she turned into a full-blown hurricane. As I leaned against the balcony railing, trying to steady my trembling hands after the tense dinner, her voice cut through the air like a knife. "You dare accuse me of theft?" she screamed, her face twisted with unbridled rage. I turned to face her, my heart racing. "Victoria, I didn't accuse." Before I could finish, she suddenly shoved me hard from behind. I started falling from the balcony to the ground with my pregnant belly. As I fell, a thought popped into my mind. What will happen to the baby in my womb? They say love conquers all, but what happens when love faces betrayal and relentless animosity? My name is Sophia, and I'm a 37-year-old marketing consultant living in Chicago. Life wasn't always as steady as it is now. 9 years ago, I experienced a loss that shattered my world. My husband, Ethan, was everything to me, a supportive partner and a loving father to our son Noah. One afternoon, while preparing a critical presentation for a major client, my focus was interrupted by an unexpected knock at the door. When I opened it, a police officer stood before me, his expression solemn. "Ma'am, your husband has been in an accident," he said gently. His words pierced through me, shattering the life I had known. Ethan was gone, and in an instant, my life had changed forever. The days that followed were a blur of grief and disbelief. I struggled to accept that Ethan was never coming back. Our cozy apartment, once filled with laughter, felt unbearably quiet. But even in my darkest moments, there was one light that kept me moving forward: our son Noah. Noah was only 9 months old when Ethan passed. His giggles, his curious little eyes, and his unconditional love became my reason to keep going. Every milestone he reached reminded me that life had to continue, even if it was painful. For Noah's sake, I learned to smile again, to rebuild our lives, and to find strength I didn't know I had. It was a chilly afternoon when I decided to stop by a cozy cafe downtown after a long work meeting. Noah sat at a nearby table, immersed in a board game. As I sipped my coffee, his laughter suddenly turned into a startled cry. I turned to see game pieces scattered across the floor, and a man in his mid-30s kneeling to steady Noah. "Are you okay, buddy?" the man asked, his voice warm and reassuring. I hurried over, grateful for his quick reaction. "Thank you so much," I said, catching my breath. He smiled, standing up. "I'm Liam. I was just here for a quick lunch and saw what happened." I introduced myself, and we began to chat. Liam was a software developer, and his humor and kindness immediately put me at ease. Our conversation flowed easily, and before I knew it, we had spent nearly an hour talking about everything from childhood memories to favorite books. As we gathered Noah's game pieces, Liam chuckled. "He's got quite the competitive streak." I laughed. "He gets it from his dad." Before leaving, Liam handed me his business card. "If you ever need someone to play board games with him, let me know." Smiling, I pocketed the card. That day felt different, lighter. It was the beginning of something I hadn't expected: hope. Liam became a regular presence in our lives. What started as casual meetups at the cafe soon turned into dinners and outings. He brought warmth and a steady presence I hadn't realized I needed. Noah adored him, and their bond grew quickly. Watching them laugh together felt like watching a missing piece of our family fall into place. One evening, Liam invited us to the river walk for a stroll. As the city lights reflected on the water, he reached for my hand. "Sophia," he began, his voice steady but filled with emotion, "you and Noah have brought so much joy into my life. I want to be with both of you, always." Tears welled up in my eyes. "You make me happier than I ever thought I could be again," I whispered. From that moment on, we were inseparable. Liam's love and devotion not only gave me hope, but also helped me imagine a future where happiness was possible again. As we spent more time together, the idea of blending our lives no longer seemed like a dream. It became our reality. When Liam suggested I meet his mother, Victoria, I was nervous but understood it was a necessary step in our relationship. He spoke of her with admiration, though he admitted she could be difficult. I tried to prepare myself, but nothing could have braced me for our first encounter. Victoria welcomed us into her grand, impeccably kept home with a sharp gaze that immediately made me uneasy. Her presence was commanding, and her demeanor was cold. "So you're Sophia," she said, her tone clipped as she looked me over. I offered her a box of gourmet chocolates as a gesture of goodwill. She barely glanced at it before setting it aside. "Liam tells me you're a single mother," she said, her voice laced with judgment, "and a marketing consultant working from home. How stable could that be?" Her words stung, but I kept my composure. I tried to engage her in conversation, even encouraged Noah to share some of his drawings with her, but she dismissed him with a curt, "I'm not your grandmother." The visit was tense, and it was clear Victoria disapproved of me. Despite my efforts to connect with her, her icy demeanor never thawed. I left feeling defeated, but Liam reassured me that we were building our life together, not with her. Despite Victoria's cold reception, Liam and I moved forward with our plans. He proposed during a romantic dinner by the lake, and I couldn't hold back my tears of joy as I said yes. We began planning our wedding, but Victoria's interference became relentless. From the start, she criticized every decision we made. "That venue is far too ordinary for my son," she scoffed during a phone call. When I showed her my dream wedding dress, she insisted, "You should let me choose something more appropriate." Liam did his best to shield me from her demands, but the stress was overwhelming. Meanwhile, we started searching for a family home, hoping to find a place where Noah could grow up surrounded by love and stability. After weeks of searching, we found the perfect house, a cozy, modern home with a spacious yard. It felt like the fresh start we needed. When we showed it to Victoria, her reaction was dismissive. "This is hardly fitting for my son," she said, shaking her head. "You should consider something more prestigious." Her words stung, but Liam stood by me, assuring me that our choices mattered more than her opinions. Together, we pushed forward, determined to build a life that felt right for us, not for her. As the wedding plans continued, I found comfort in a cherished heirloom, my grandmother's necklace, valued at $50,000. It wasn't just a piece of jewelry, it symbolized her love and the legacy I hoped to pass down to my children. Whenever I felt overwhelmed, holding it reminded me of her strength. One evening, as I prepared to place the necklace back in its safe, I noticed it was gone. Panic surged through me as I searched every corner of the house, but it was nowhere to be found. The only thought that crossed my mind was Victoria's recent visit. Her comment echoed in my memory. "Such a piece belongs in the hands of someone worthy." When I confided in Liam, he tried to reassure me. "Maybe it's misplaced. We'll keep looking," he said gently, but a gnawing suspicion grew inside me, one I couldn't shake. Days later, as I walked past the hallway during Victoria's visit, I'd overheard her speaking to a friend. "I sold that priceless necklace. It covered more of my debts than I expected," she boasted, her voice dripping with satisfaction. My heart sank. The truth was undeniable, and I knew I couldn't stay silent any longer. I decided to confront Victoria during a family dinner. My hands trembled as I placed my fork down and turned to her. "Victoria, I need to ask you something," I began, keeping my voice steady. "My necklace is missing, and I overheard you talking about selling a priceless necklace to cover debts." Her eyes narrowed, and her face darkened. "Are you accusing me of theft?" she snapped, her tone sharp and defensive. "Did you take it?" I asked firmly, though my voice wavered slightly. "How dare you accuse me of such a thing?" she yelled, slamming her hand on the table. "You ungrateful woman." The tension in the room was suffocating. Liam tried to intervene, but Victoria stood abruptly and stormed out onto the second-floor balcony. I followed, determined to get the truth. "You're trying to turn Liam against me," She spat, her voice venomous. "Victoria, I just want the truth," I said, my heart pounding. Her face twisted with rage. "You have no right to accuse me," she screamed, and before I could react, she shoved me hard. The world blurred as I lost my balance and fell. Darkness consumed me. When I opened my eyes, the sterile smell of the hospital filled the air. My body ached and my vision was blurry. Slowly, I noticed Liam sitting beside me, his face etched with worry and relief. "Sophia," he said softly, taking my hand. "You're awake." "What happened?" I whispered, my voice barely audible. His expression darkened. "Victoria pushed you off the balcony. You were unconscious when the paramedics arrived. The doctors had to perform an emergency C-section to save you and the baby." Fear gripped my heart. "The baby? Is the baby okay?" A soft smile broke through Liam's sorrow. "She's safe. Our baby girl is healthy and beautiful." Tears streamed down my face. "I need to see her." Liam pressed the nurse's call button, and moments later, a nurse entered, carrying a tiny bundle in a bassinet. She gently placed my daughter in my arms. The instant I touched her, a wave of love and purpose surged through me. "Welcome to the world, little Lily," I murmured, the name coming to me instinctively. As I cradled her, I felt a renewed strength to face what lay ahead. In the days that followed, the police investigated the incident. Evidence of Victoria's theft emerged when a pawnshop confirmed she had sold the necklace for $30,000, far below its true value. Liam's voice trembled as he apologized. "I didn't want to believe it at first," he said, his eyes filled with guilt. "But the proof is undeniable. She betrayed us both." Though his support gave me some solace, the weight of what had happened lingered. I knew I needed to ensure my family was protected from further harm. Victoria's trial became a media sensation, with headlines detailing her betrayal and attempted murder. Reporters latched onto every shocking detail, painting her as a cold and calculating villain. In court, Victoria showed no remorse. "That woman manipulated my son," she shouted during her testimony. "She only wanted the necklace for herself." The evidence told a different story. The pawn shop owner testified about the sale of the necklace, and the police presented documentation proving the transaction. Witnesses corroborated my account of the balcony incident. My testimony was emotional but unwavering as I recounted the moment she shoved me. The jury deliberated briefly before the judge delivered the verdict. The defendant, Victoria Taylor, is found guilty of attempted murder and theft, he announced. She is sentenced to 10 years in prison. Relief washed over me as the weight of her actions finally lifted. Liam held my hand tightly as we left the courtroom, surrounded by reporters. "Sophia, how do you feel about the verdict?" one asked. I met their gaze and answered firmly, "Justice has been served. My priority is protecting my family and moving forward." With Victoria behind bars, we could finally begin to rebuild our lives in peace. Life slowly began to stabilize. With Victoria no longer a threat, Liam and I focused on creating a safe and loving home for Noah and Lily. The days were filled with simple joys, playing board games, bedtime stories, and watching Lily's tiny milestones. The heirloom necklace was recovered and returned to me by the authorities. Holding it in my hands again, I felt its weight as more than gold and jewels. It symbolized resilience and the strength to overcome even the hardest trials. One evening, as we sat together in the living room, Noah's excited voice broke through the air. "Mom, Lily just stood up." We turned to see our little girl wobbling on her tiny legs before taking her first unsteady steps. Laughter and cheers erupted as we celebrated the milestone together. Liam wrapped his arms around me, his voice filled with gratitude. "We've been through so much, but we're stronger because of it. This is our family, and nothing will ever break us." Gazing at our children, I felt an overwhelming sense of peace. The challenges we faced had only strengthened our bond. and I knew we were ready to face whatever the future held together. As I sat on the couch watching Noah and Lily play together, I reflected on everything we had endured. The loss of Ethan, the pain caused by Victoria, and the trials we faced as a family had tested us in unimaginable ways. Yet here we were, together, stronger than ever. Liam's unwavering support and love had given me hope during my darkest days. Noah's laughter reminded me why I had to keep fighting, and Lily's presence brought a sense of renewal and purpose I hadn't known I needed. The heirloom necklace, once a source of grief, now represented triumph. Its recovery wasn't just about reclaiming an object, it was about reclaiming our lives, our dignity, and our peace. "We've been through so much," Liam said softly, sitting beside me, "but I wouldn't trade this moment for anything." Neither would I. The challenges we faced only deepened our bond as a family. Watching Noah's enthusiasm and Lily's curious eyes, I knew our future was bright. Whatever lay ahead, we would face it together, with love, strength, and resilience. This was our story, and we had written it with unshakable courage. Thank you for joining Sophia's journey of resilience and hope. What did you think of her story? Would you have handled things differently in her place? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more inspiring tales of love, strength, and courage.